Hey guys, welcome back, and in this tutorial I will show you the 4 fundamental UI design principles that you can apply to your UI design so that you can produce better user interfaces. Now, we are gonna also apply what we learned, and we are gonna turn a website from looking like this into this, and we are gonna show how each principle applies at each screen. We are gonna go over the 4 in order. They are going to be contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. It's very important that you watch the tutorial till the end to see how progressively we apply each principle. Let's get started. I hope you guys are enjoying this tutorial, and if you haven't already, please click on that subscribe button below so that you will get a notification when I release 2 more videos per week about Figma or UI UX design so that you can become a better UI UX designer as you watch them. Take care guys, enjoy the tutorial. So I'm gonna copy this frame by holding Option and drag, and I'm gonna rename it as the contrast principle. And what contrast principle suggests is if 2 elements are logically belonging to a different group, such as let's say a header and paragraph, they are 2 different elements, then they should also visually look different in design. Now, many of you already know how to do this via text. Basically, if you have a header, you make it bigger than the paragraph, right? Now, when a person comes to the site, they can say this is a title, this is a paragraph, without even skimming. Now, sizing is a very popular way to add contrast to screens. It is not the only way, and in this tutorial I want to show you a few more. You have different ways, such as the letter form you can use to actually distinguish an element and make it a different one. You can use color, you can use background color, you can use opacity, meaning you can reduce the opacity of text or an object to make it less important or more important. You have a lot more different things, and for this screen size, for this page, I want to use less popular options to add contrast. I am not going to make the title to be that big. Actually, I'm going to make it just a bit bigger. I'm going to get the paragraph to be 20, and I'm going to get the title to be 24, but I'm going to make the title uppercase and also bold. So I'm going to also make it bold. So that looks better, and I also want it to be a bit, have a less opacity to reduce its importance a bit, because bold black is very sharp for my eyes, and I want this to be basically oxygen, and I want this to be oxygen as well because I do not like Roboto. And then I look at this whole screen, and what I realize is we actually have 2 rows. The first row has an image and a description. The second row has an image and a description. So I want to separate these rows by basically maybe a background color. So I'm going to press R to drag it, and I'm going to put it there. And what I'm going to do is I am going to put this to be very after other elements, maybe around here, and I'm going to make this color, its color to be around purple. So roughly around maybe here. And that looks pretty good. I think I like how that looks so far. That is a bit bigger, but that's okay. And one thing I don't like is that I don't want to make the other element, meaning the other section, to have the same color, but I also don't want to differentiate with colors too much. Maybe what I can do is I can add a contrast with positioning, meaning in the second section maybe the image goes to left and the paragraph and stuff goes to right. And let's just group the paragraph and the buttons, Command Option G to frame them. Content, I'm gonna do the same here. Command Option G, content. And I am also gonna get a rectangle here around similar color. Control C to copy, and boom, I'm gonna get this rectangle down as well. Maybe even more down around here. Yes, that looks pretty good. Now, if I want to add even more contrast and make this look a bit more different than other applications, what I can do is I can make the image to show its importance, like popping off the screen, basically just a bit going over the background so that its importance is increased. It's almost like popping off the background now. And I will do it for that one as well. And then what I can do is I don't want to make these straight. Meaning what I can do is maybe I can get this up a bit. And that looks pretty good. And I can also get this down a bit, so opposite ends. So I'm gonna do the opposite here. And that looks pretty good to me. All right, so far our contrasting works. I think I am just gonna copy the properties we have here in the next video. So this is some sort of the basic contrast principles we used. We used some positioning, we used color, we used uppercase letter form. Now in the next video we are gonna use the element repetition to make our designs more consistent. So let's actually drag this frame to begin our second principle, which is repetition. While in the previous principle we have added good enough contrast, there is some problems where if you see in our content from title to paragraph, the first section's content style doesn't match the second. And also our footer's color now looks a bit off. So we have to make things that are the same element throughout the whole page, whether that is titles that are repeating, paragraphs that are repeating, image elements that are repeating. We have to make them have similar attributes. What I'm going to do is I am just going to go for our title. I'm gonna do Option Command C to copy its properties, and I'm gonna do Option Command V to change here, and that's pretty good. Option Command C for its paragraph, Option Command V for its paragraph here, and then I'm gonna copy this one. I think we didn't touch button, but just in case. So one of the other things that I'm noticing is this footer here. It looks a bit off, so I'm gonna really do Control C to copy the color we have. So I'm gonna actually go in the footer. I'm gonna maybe copy here and boom. And then I'm going to make its text maybe white. And from the previous video, maybe one contrast we can add is if we make the text white, it might be better. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm also gonna, I think it looks pretty good so far in terms of contrast. I'm gonna do it here too, just to see. That looks a bit better. And the buttons right now, while blue and the purple are different enough that it takes our attention into them, we can kind of make them a bit more similar to the background because it is creating too much contrast for my eyes. So maybe I can get this to be a purple, but a bit of a darker purple like here. And then I'm going to do my repetition principle, Option Command C, Option Command V, and that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to check the distance between these two, that is 88, that's pretty good. And I'm gonna check the distance between these two. That's 104, so this has to come up, actually. 88, yep, now they match. Okay, so now they are the same. And I think for our consistency, what else? Our title looks pretty good. Maybe our top level navigation can also use uppercase letters just to match almost to a title to a link. So I can actually make these ones uppercase as well, and maybe a bit more smaller too, and maybe, yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, and that is our repetition principle, guys, where we repeat certain things for elements that are similar to each other, whether they're an image or a text, so that we unify them visually as well when they are supposed to be unified. Now let's work on our third step, which is going to be alignment. So I'm going to drag here and I'm going to write alignment principle. Now one of the first things I notice is we don't have a vertical or horizontal alignment well in this page, so skimming the content is very hard. Your eye starts from this here trait and then it has to go on a cross diagonally here, then it goes down, it has to go here, but there is no vertical or horizontal alignment for the eye to follow easier, and this creates a lot of friction for the user. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I am gonna go to this thing and I'm gonna increase this, make this maybe 90, and that's pretty good. I'm gonna get this one down a bit, and I am gonna get this one to the top, but I want it to be 90. And I'm gonna check with Shift R to open our ruler. And maybe the text has to go up a bit more. Just gonna zoom in. Yep, now we are meeting it, that's good. And then for here, I also wanted to have 90 and 90 here, that's good. And I might actually have it for a bottom alignment instead. And I want this to be 90 as well. And let me open the Shift R. Again, for the ruler, let's see where the image ends. Okay, and let's see how far away is the image here. It's 145, maybe 146.8, and we can do 1, 2, 3 as well. And this can also be 148, so it's gonna go down a bit. Okay, and it has to go a bit lower. My bad. One moment, guys. Let's grab the ruler. Yep. Okay, now we have a horizontal alignment. And another thing I am noticing now is that these two images are too close. So maybe we actually need to increase the height a bit. So I'm gonna grab this, and before I grab, I'm actually gonna make this bottom left and right. So when I drag this, it will come with it. So I'm just gonna get the height going a bit, and I'm gonna get these elements down as well. So maybe around here is good. Yep, around here is pretty good. I think the distance is pretty good. And I think in terms of alignment, we are doing almost good, but this has to be a bit left. Yes, now we are more aligned. Let me check the right alignment here. Pretty good, yeah. That's pretty good. The only thing we are missing is the footer here. Maybe we can do a better job for the footer, but let's think maybe we can get it to a bit more right. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go through each of I think I'm just gonna detach the variant so I can click on it. I'm gonna make this a frame, Command Option G, and I'm gonna make all of these a frame. I will skip past here, guys, very fast, just so that you understand what I'm doing. Command Option G, Command Option G, and then all right, now that I created a frame for, oh, I forgot this one. Now that I created the frame for all of these, I am gonna make this a right side. So I'm gonna frame this as well, right side. I'm gonna name this left side. And then I'm gonna frame these as well. And I'm gonna add a auto layout. And I'm gonna make these topped. That's pretty good. And increase their distance to come around here. And yeah, maybe a bit more here. Yeah, and now that looks better. Yep, I like how this looks. All right, on to the next and last part. All right, so for the last principle, which is proximity, I'm gonna drag this and I'm gonna write proximity principle. Now, proximity is mostly about spacing, and number one thing that I notice about is the text spacing here that we have. I'm gonna add the auto layout here to get some spacing, maybe 24 pixels. That's pretty good. And I'm also gonna add a spacing to here. Now, I want to show you something important. Let's say I go for the spacing 12. or even 10. Now, what's the problem with having a 10 spacing between elements? The problem is the space between each line in the paragraph is almost same as the space between the paragraph and the title. And this is a big design mistake. The reason is because the paragraph's lines are much more logically closely related to each other than they are to the text or to our button, they should be closer. Again, for visually structuring a layout, elements that are logically grouped should be closer. Elements that are less logically grouped should be farther away from each other. And here, while each line of the paragraph is much more closely related than they are to the title, the distance between them are the same, and that actually hurts the design being much more usable. So what you want to do for that reason is we want to find a place where I think once we are at 24, our eye can immediately say this is the distance between each element from the title to the paragraph is much more greater than the paragraph's lines. So we can much more easily tell that's the paragraph, that's the title, that's the button. And I am gonna do it the same here. Gonna add an auto layout. Gonna make it 24 and gonna make this maybe 32. And I think we have to get these guys up around here. Maybe let me see, how is our alignment doing? Yep, that looks pretty good to me. And another spacing issue that we have is here, where maybe we can get these guys. I will just extend this navigation so we are centered. Yep, that looks better. And I think that's pretty good, the distance between these two elements. One issue we have forgot with the alignment is 90. And that's good. Now we have, that was a mistake that I forgot in the alignment video. Okay, and another is that the content and the image should be much more closer to each other than they are from the entire section. So 90 pixels to the section, is it bigger? Yep, it is bigger, that's good. And yeah, that's pretty good actually. And now what I'm going to do is I am actually gonna do some testing for accessibility to see if our fonts are readable. So I'm gonna do able. And I'm gonna do white with that one. And it works, so that's good. Okay, our contrast is good. Our elements look pretty good. I think I like it. And this is where we end up, guys, by applying the 4 simple principles: consistency, repetition, alignment, and proximity, where we took a design that looked like this to this. And I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and see you in the next week. Now, before you go any further, I actually added 2 videos to the end of this video that I believe will help make you a better UI UX designer on Figma. Please watch either of them if you haven't already. I believe they will improve your design skills a lot.